Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Absolute Beginner's Guide to League of Legends. Today, we're going to go over some key terminology that everybody needs to know when they are starting out playing League of Legends. Alright, the first term that we're going to talk about is auto attack and basic attack. You might have heard both of these terms before. Basically, they mean the same thing. So it's called an auto attack because most of the time, if I stand next to some enemy, I'm going to automatically attack it. That's why it's called an auto attack. It's called a basic attack also because it's the most basic attack you can do. It costs no mana, nothing like that, no resource. Just you hit them. Okay? And so it can be activated two ways. One, by standing near an enemy, if you have that setting turned on, which I'll show you how to do that in a second. The other option is by clicking on them with your right click. And then, boom, you're shooting at them. So this term, auto attack, basic attack, they mean the same thing. They just mean clicking on the enemy. Okay? The next thing I want to talk about is damage types. Okay, so there's two different damage types in League of Legends. I'm going to go into the shop and I'm going to show you. The two different damage types are attack damage and magic damage. So there's items like the Infinity Edge, which gives you plus 80 attack damage. And then there's items like the Luden's Echo or the Rabadon's Death Cap, which give you ability power. Okay, so this term might be a little bit confusing because ability power doesn't necessarily make your abilities stronger. Okay, so how do we know what makes our abilities stronger? Well, we can hover over the ability, and you'll see that the ability deals physical damage, and the orange text there means that the ability gets stronger when I buy more attack damage. Okay, another example is this ability deals magic damage, and the green text means it gets stronger when I buy ability power. Okay, let's take a look at this. So I'll buy that, and I'll buy this. Okay, so this now has a number there because I have some ability power, and this now has a bigger number because I have some attack damage. Okay. The key thing to note is that attack damage may make your abilities stronger, it may not. Ability power may make your abilities stronger, it may not. You have to really go into your abilities and look at the color of the number. Okay, green means ability power, red or like orange means attack damage. And the key here is that attack damage will make your basic attacks or your auto attacks stronger. See that? Hitting way harder than before. Okay? Excellent. Next, I want to talk again about some items. So there's two types of items in League of Legends. First type is passive items. Items that just make you stronger but because you have them. Infinity Edge and Rabadon's Death Cap are good examples. They both have passives, and the stats are always passive. So these are unique passives. That means if I buy more than one Infinity Edge, I only get the passive once. Okay? That's very, very important. Alright, same thing if I buy more than one Rabadon's Death Cap. I only get the passive once. See how there's a 52 there and a 0 there? It's because the passive doesn't apply twice. Okay? Next thing I want to talk about is active items. There are a lot of active items in the game. Let's buy this one, and so you'll know it's an active item because it's highlighted on your item slot down here. Okay, and I can move the items around to change which button I want them on. Let's put this one on the 2 button for now. Okay, and so when I press the 2 button, the item will activate, and you can tell it has a active because it says unique active. Okay, and when I press it, the item will activate. It'll do something. All items do different things. All active items do different things. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about what it did. But see, now it's got a cooldown. Now it's got a number here, which means I can't use it because it's an active item. Active items always also give you some stats, right? But they do have the ability to activate them to have more power, more abilities, basically. Okay? The next thing I want to talk about, which kind of relates to what I just said, is the term cooldowns. Okay? So all abilities, most abilities, have cooldowns. Okay? So let's go to level 6 here. The cool thing is cooldowns basically mean how often I can use my abilities. So I have to wait to use it again. See how that works? That's what the cooldown is called. Sometimes people refer to it as a CD, cooldown CD. This number is influenced by something that we call cooldown reduction. Okay, some items have cooldown reduction. So like for example, this item has the unique passive plus 10% cooldown reduction, which when I buy it will make my ability have less cooldown. The time to cool it down is less, so I can use it more often. The key in League of Legends is your cooldown reduction cannot go above 40%. Let's do this. I'll show you. So let's sell a bunch of these items so I can have some slots here. Okay. So this one gives me 20%, 10%, and 20%. So 20% plus 10% plus 20%. So let's hear it. 50%. But maximum of 40%. You can have up to 40% cooldown reduction. That's a very important thing to know. All right. Enough about that. Let's talk about the term last hitting and CS and minions and creeps. So these things are called the minions. These little things running around the lanes. Okay? There's this idea called farming, which basically means hitting minions until you kill them and doing that a bunch of times. Okay? So I'm right now farming these minions, which means I'm hitting them until I kill them a bunch of times. I'm just trying to get more minion kills. That's what farming is. That's what the term farming means. Okay? And now, we can talk about what the term CS means. CS means creep score. Creep score is when you hit the tab button, that number here, the minion kills. It's how many minions you've killed. CS, creep score, minion kills. All mean the same thing. Alright? And then finally, there's the term last hitting, which basically means it's getting the final hit that kills a unit. Usually, it is referencing minions. And so, you'll notice here, I get the last hit, which means I get gold. Let's see what happens if I hit the minion, but don't get the last hit on it. So let's watch this minion here. Let's watch this minion. We'll see what happens if I don't get the last hit, even though I hit it recently. Look, I don't get the gold. I don't get the gold. no gold pops up if I do not last hit it. If I do not get the final hit on the minion. See how I did there, and I didn't there, and I did there. Okay, so that's what last hitting is. Next thing I want to talk about is summoner spells. Okay, so every character is equipped with 2 summoner spells at the start of every game. Okay, the first summoner spell is going to be by default on your D key. Okay, in this case I have the heal summoner spell, and on my F key I have the flash summoner spell. There's a bunch of different summoner spells. I'm going to make a separate video on what all the summoner spells do if you're curious about that, but for right now, you just need to know that they have very, very long cooldowns, and that they are by default on your D and F keys. Okay? Excellent. Last thing I want to talk about in this absolute basics video is types of abilities. Okay? So, there are 2 types of abilities in League of Legends. There is point and click abilities. So basically an ability where I press the ability button and then I can click on an enemy and then the ability just happens. Point and click and the ability just happens. Right? Then there's what we call skill shot abilities. Skill shot abilities have a line or an arc or some basically shot that they take, some throwing, anything like that, that they make, and the ability will go in that line. The difference between skill shot abilities and point and click abilities is skill shot abilities can miss their targets. See how this isn't hitting those dummies over there? Because I'm missing the dummies. Because this is not lined up over the dummies. See how that's not lined up over the dummies? But now it is, so I can hit them. With my ultimate on this character, it's a point and click ability. And you'll notice that there's no line or anything coming out of my character, because I just click on them and it happens. Click on them and it happens. Okay? Same thing with my... So that's the difference between skill shots and point and click abilities. So skill shots you can miss, you have to aim them, and they shoot a projectile, usually. And point and click abilities happen when you click on the character that you intend to use the ability on. Okay? So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Tune in for the next one. We're going to talk about some more advanced gameplay concepts. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.